Wow, look at this. We just arrived to Aria, and look at this backdrop. It's like a little water fountain through the roof, through the wall. Look at. Wow, it is pretty.
It's just water falling and it's going down the crevices. That's really cool.
And it's creating this little foamy texture.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool, very cool. Now let's go see Phanteks.
Phanteks, here we come.
Woo. All right, so last year when we were at CES here visiting Computex. What am I talking about? All right, so last year when we were visiting Phanteks here at the CES, they had impeccable lighting. They replaced all the bulbs.
And the problem most years is the fact that absolutely nobody has proper lighting in their suites or on the show floor. So we will have to see what Phanteks does this year.
I see someone I know. What's up, Boom?
How you doing?
Good.
How's it going, man?
All right, so the moment of truth. Beautiful view. Let's see if they have changed their light bulbs this time around. And looks like they have. Wow. This is the best suite in entire CES to get the best even lighting. Everything is great. Love it. Now you probably already have watched our P600S preview. Make sure to check it out over here. But we had the black edition, which is like all matte black, but it is awesome to see the metallic gray version, which has the same interior, which is super cool. So not just on the exterior, but on the interior for a little extra accent stuff, and all the light will bounce on the interior too. And there's a white edition, which is slightly more glossy. So matte black, gray, white. But the main star of the show for Phanteks at CES this year is this new Phanteks Enthoo LUXE 2. But first, big thanks to our sponsors, Thermaltake, Razer, Phanteks, Corsair, and MSI for making our CES possible. So what Phanteks wanted to do with the LUXE 2 is basically just redesign the full tower and kind of focus on the features. So the LUXE 2 is premium, but it is slightly less expensive than the Evolve X. So this one's gonna go for $189, and the target release date is around Q2. So it is cheaper than the Evolve X because the LUXE 2 reduces the aluminum enclosure for the exterior. So there's some different materials and focus on internal features. So it's a super efficient design, we're told, in this price segment. So it has some Primo and Elite elements. So the original bottom design, for example, like putting the power supply on the side for more airflow from the bottom. We have that L design soft illumination that spans the top, the front, the bottom, and now it actually enters onto the interior to highlight the PSU shroud. And this is actually the first time that they're adding lighting to the interior that's tasteful and addressable to match the exterior design theme. And as with the P600S, they've gone with this fabric material on the exterior. I really like it on the sides because it slims down the frame and gives you the perception of a slightly, not as gigantic of a tower. It is a pressure fit fabric material, both for airflow channels and aesthetics too. The backside panel has this small TG window to reveal 3 SSDs. So if they are RGB, they look awesome. And they might add a tiny LED strip at the bottom of this window to illuminate this area if you are using non-RGB SSDs, which would be sweet. There's that big side mount because of the available ventilation on the rear panel. So you can install either fans here, a radiator, and you can install them on either side of the frame because there is enough clearance between the frame and the side panel. And as for the interior, there are 4 covers that kind of like basically block this area. So you can either use it for SSD mounting or remove those for fan installation. The I/O will be located in its usual position behind the front cover with Type-C and a reset switch that you can reroute for the second system to be for power. And the interior, let's get into that now. It is completely open basically, so all the sort of 4 corners of the enclosure are within easy reach, and it's not designed for your traditional systems really, as the basement section is quite tall. Below the main motherboard tray, for example, you can install a second power supply, 4 stacked HDD caddies, which are included. So if you want to go with storage focused system, you can install an ITX system in here, which is what you see now, or fill it with a really thick radiator for push-pull. So they had an 80mm radiator in here, and it still has plenty of clearance until your main ATX motherboard area. Now, no optional kits are required for any of this mounting, so you don't need to purchase an additional ITX mounting kit because everything is kind of built into the frame by default, which is awesome. And so this whole thing is very much water cooling ready, and simultaneously at the same time you can do 2 480mm radiators, so one at the front and one on the side, and 2 360mm radiators, one at the top and one at the bottom. The motherboard tray is flat and wide for RGB motherboard support. Those are those really gigantic dual socket Intel motherboards. So a standard ATX motherboard looks kind of, you know, small inside this enclosure. And what Phanteks is trying to do is develop an ecosystem where the LUXE 2 is fully ready for dual systems, where the Revolt X power supply might come in handy. And you know, it's kind of your really enthusiast full tower where you either go with a dual system configuration or just go crazy water cooling. And you know, knowing the user assembly that you get with a Phanteks of this type of caliber, it is definitely going to be an enjoyable experience. And $189, I would say it is highly competitive and, you know, almost competes with Phanteks themselves. And now the Metallic Gear series. So it's powered by Phanteks. And if you guys recall, we did the original sort of overview of the Neo line at Computex, but now they've expanded that selection into a lower price territory. So the Neo Silent, which has closed off side panel with noise dampening material applied on it, $49. Then we're moving on to the Neo Air. So it's a high airflow style case with a mesh front panel, so you can see the kind of the fans on the interior. $59 price point. And then finally Neo G. So it's more of a tempered glass edition. Still has a little bit of spacing on the front, so the airflow is not completely choked. And they're going to modify the front panel for better airflow. And I'm really excited to check out the Neo series. Neo Air, Neo Silent, and Neo G, and this guy is 69 bucks. All right, good people, so that is the Phanteks LUXE 2. I'm really liking the direction that they're taking, you know, incorporating elements from the original LUXE and the Enthoo Primo, and really focusing on a feature set. And you know, it is not really competing with the Evolve X because the Evolve X is so premium. It's got design elements and feature set, whereas this is more towards the feature set. So let us know what you think about this whole dual configuration for systems, power supplies, water cooling, and what would you do with the LUXE 2 if you are, you know, planning on doing something like that. And do you guys like this whole fabric approach? I love the texture and this, you know, different direction, but what do you think? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.